Nintendo Switch 2, final specs revealed, DLSS, Ampere GPU, ray tracing, and what it really means for you. Nintendo has finally confirmed the tech specs for the long-awaited Switch 2, and it's more than just an upgrade. It's a hybrid leap powered by a custom Nvidia processor, full Ampere GPU, 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM, ray tracing, DLSS, a dedicated decompression engine, and much more. In this episode of the Gadget Sage, we break down the final hardware specs, explore what they really mean for developers and players, and explain what surprises Nintendo didn't highlight. Whether you're a casual player or hardcore fan, this episode gives you the full picture. As an Amazon associate, we may earn commissions from qualifying purchases. Hey, gadget lovers and gaming explorers, welcome back to the Gadget Sage, where we break down the tech behind the tools you use and the games you love. And today we are diving into one of the most anticipated hardware reveals of 2025. Yes, it's real. It's official. The Nintendo Switch 2 is here. On May 14th, Nintendo finally dropped the confirmed technical specs, putting to rest years of leaks, rumors, speculation, developer whispers, and TikTok hot takes. Now we know what's inside. And friends, this isn't just a modest upgrade. This is a calculated, intelligent leap forward in hybrid console design. So in this episode, we're breaking it all down. What's new, what's powerful, what's a little weird, and what it all means for your favorite games and the developers who make them. The core chipset and CPU power structured, accessible explanation. Let's start with the heart of the Switch 2, the silicon. At the center of this new machine is a custom Nvidia system-on-a-chip, SoC, known in the industry as T239. This isn't a recycled smartphone chip like the original Tegra X1 from the first Switch. This is custom designed for Nintendo, and it shows. Here's the CPU setup. 8 cores, using the ARM Cortex-A78C architecture. They're running the ARM v8 64-bit instruction set, so no more 32-bit compatibility. 6 of those 8 cores are available to game developers, while the remaining 2 are reserved for the system. In terms of clock speed, 1100 MHz in mobile mode, 998 MHz when docked, and, surprise, a max boost clock of 1.7 GHz under special conditions. So yes, the handheld mode is technically clocked higher than the docked mode, which might sound strange at first, but there's more to this, which we'll get to in a bit. Ampere GPU, CUDA cores, and flops excitement. All prior to the specs. The original Switch was based on Nvidia's Maxwell GPU architecture. Solid at the time, but now over 10 years old. Switch 2 jumps forward to Ampere, the same family used in RTX 30 series graphics cards. Here's what we're working with. 1536 CUDA cores, GPU clocks, 561 MHz handheld, 1007 MHz docked, max 1.4 GHz possible. That brings us to 3.07 teraflops docked, or 1.71 teraflops mobile. That's more than 10 times the GPU horsepower of the original Switch. Here's the kicker. Flops alone don't tell the full story. Real-world performance depends on bandwidth, latency, memory access, thermal headroom, and software, which is exactly why Nintendo added a few clever tricks. DLSS, ray tracing, and advanced rendering feature-focused tone, easy-to-grasp language. The Switch 2 supports DLSS, Nvidia's deep learning supersampling, right out of the box. This is a big deal. DLSS lets the console render at a lower resolution and upscale the image using AI, delivering crisp visuals without hammering the hardware. You'll see DLSS 1x, 2x, 3x, matching performance, balanced, and quality modes, and even DLAA for anti-aliasing at native resolution. And yes, there's ray tracing support. Nintendo says the system can push up to 20 gigaраys per second when docked. Now, we haven't seen any launch titles actually use it yet, probably because of how heavy ray tracing is on performance, but the doors are wide open. This means more immersive lighting, shadows, and reflections, if developers choose to tap in. Memory, bandwidth, and developer access, deep dive, clear comparisons. Let's talk memory, where the jump is massive. The Switch 2 includes 12 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM, 102 gigabytes per second bandwidth when docked, 68 gigabytes per second mobile. But what does that really mean? On the original Switch, developers only had access to 3.2 gigabytes. On the Switch 2, they get 9 gigabytes, with 3 gigabytes reserved for system processes. This opens the floodgates for larger open worlds, better AI behavior, more simultaneous assets, and less popping or texture lag. And with DLSS doing some of the heavy lifting, the RAM has more freedom to handle gameplay complexity. Storage, load times, and the decompression engine. Highlight Nintendo's custom solutions. One of the most Nintendo things about this console, a custom hardware decompression engine, or FDE. The Switch 2 has 256 gigabytes of internal UFS storage, expandable via microSD express cards up to 2 terabytes. But here's the real genius. Rather than using the CPU to decompress game files on the fly, the Switch 2 has a dedicated chip to handle it. That means faster load times, smoother transitions, lower power draw, and it frees up CPU cycles for gameplay and physics. This might be one of the most underrated improvements in the whole system. Display, VRR, and developer constraints. More technical, but relatable. The display, 7.9-inch LCD, 1080p resolution, HDR10, VRR up to 120 Hz, but only on the handheld screen. That's right, VRR does not work over HDMI, at least for now. The dock's DisplayPort to HDMI converter likely doesn't support it. That's a bummer, but maybe fixable via dock upgrades, and developers have to work around system core reservations, RAM restrictions, performance variability with game chat. Yup, Nintendo even includes a game chat simulator in the dev kit to test how voice comms affect performance, because the system's doing a lot more in the background now. What it all means and looking ahead, inspiring. Emotional wrap-up. So here we are. The Switch 2 is no longer a mystery. It's real, it's powerful, and it's smartly designed. Nintendo didn't try to outgun the PS5 or Xbox Series X. Instead, they leaned into what they do best: thoughtful innovation. This console blends portability with performance, power with efficiency, and nostalgia with next-gen. The custom chip, DLSS, ray tracing, decompression engine, upgraded RAM, it all adds up to a system that's ready for the future. Now it's up to the games to show us what it can really do. Until then, stay curious, stay plugged in, and stay sage.